Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the book Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alir Sandys. So the setting is in El Paso, Texas in 1987, and the synopsis of the story is that the two main characters, Aristotle and Dante, meet each other during the summer when they are 15 years old. Dante kind of becomes Aristotle's only friend, and they become very close to each other because Aristotle has never really had any friends and is kind of like lonely his whole life. All the while, Aristotle is struggling with expressing his emotions, and his family. Basically, his dad went to war, and when he came back, he wouldn't talk about it at all. So he kind of feels a disconnection with his father, and his older brother Benjamin, who is in jail, and his family won't talk to him about him at all. So he kind of feels alone with nobody to talk to. At the end of the summer, Aristotle saves Dante from getting killed in a car crash, and in the process breaks both of his legs, which is kind of a changing point within the story as Aristotle starts to think a little bit like darker. Dante then goes to Chicago for a year because of his dad's work, and all the while they're exchanging letters. And in the book, the letters are in there, and they basically show that both Aristotle and Dante are maturing and becoming older people. Eventually, Dante comes back next summer and tells Aristotle that he is gay, which then causes him to get beaten up by some people when they see him kissing a boy. And Aristotle is so angry at the people that hurt Dante that he goes and beats up one of the kids that hurt him and gets in trouble for it. And this causes his family to talk about the problems that they've been having with each other, and also makes him realize that he likes Dante, and they both eventually confide in each other that they both like each other and start going out. The main characters of the story is Aristotle, who is a 15-year-old Mexican American that struggles with loneliness and kind of depression and sharing his emotions with the other people around him. And then we have Dante, who is another 15-year-old Mexican American who struggles with his Mexican identity and is also a very curious person and is very sensitive to the people and emotions around him. Some secondary characters are his Aristotle's parents that kind of guide him through the story when he feels conflicted and are also a source of what Aristotle's struggles are. Some more secondary characters are Dante's parents, who are both very supportive of the main characters throughout the story and become people that Aristotle cares about and confides in. The main conflict is when Aristotle has issues with the people around him, and kind of letting out his pain and emotions, which drives Aristotle to do most of the things in his book. He finally reaches a breaking point when he gets in trouble for beating up the people that hurt Dante, and his parents and him finally get closer when they talk to each other about the war and his brother, and that's kind of the solution. And another part of that is that he makes up with Dante, and they both kind of realize their feelings with each other. The theme of the story is that you should never bottle up your thoughts and emotions until you kind of explode, but to share them with the people that you can trust or talk to so you can kind of let it out and feel a lot better. Some positives of the book is that it is actually a very good book. There are many relatable parts for teenagers growing up and struggling around them. And there's also the relationships with the family and friends for the characters, and it was very real, and I could actually relate to it quite a lot. The characters constantly question the world and how it works, and think about that throughout the story when they are kind of like interacting with each other. And the characters are constantly changing and growing and becoming new people, which is very real to real life and real people. I don't actually have that many complaints, but I would have liked to read from Dante's perspective because it would have been interesting what he thought about the things that were happening around him. My favorite part is when Aristotle saved Dante from the car crash and when he broke both of his legs, because the thoughts that he had during that time were very true to what they would be in real life if someone was suffering from an injury or something that was very sad. This is also a changing point in Aristotle's life when he couldn't really do many things by himself. Like he couldn't even wash himself. His mom had to do it for him. And when he couldn't handle taking credit for something amazing like saving Dante, because he didn't really like himself either. So it was kind of an interesting thing to read. A book review that I found from The Guardian, and the person that wrote it said it was a brilliantly written book and wasn't really cliche at all. And that the conversations in the book told you what the characters' emotions were and how they thought of each other without having to really explain it. You could tell in the book the interactions that people had with each other were very clear without really having to write that at all. And they also said that it was an amazing book that was told in a beautiful and different way, which I completely agree with. I would definitely recommend this book because it's very entertaining and written really well. And the characters are very relatable and have interactions that are meaningful and things that you would hear from like a regular family as well. And this development is like great in the story, and you can read the characters changing and discovering themselves throughout the story, which is why I really like the story. Thank you.
So yeah, I messed up.
What?
I'm kidding.